So good morning students. So today we'll be continuing with the previous lecture of your memory management. Okay, so there we'll just learn some of a basic concept. So now swapping is a technique. Okay, so where sometimes what happens, okay, so if you don't have a space in the memory, okay, and you have to bring a very important process which is having the higher priority. So what we can do is the process which is not being utilized can be moved up to your backing store. Okay, and then though the space what is freed up by moving a particular process can be brought back into your main memory. Okay, so this concept we are calling it as a swapping concept. Okay, so this moving out a process from the main memory is called as a rollout, and moving in the process, okay, so which is a higher priority process. Okay, so that is called as a rolling. Okay, so for this what we do is, so in the backing store we keep a separate space. Okay, so we call as a pool of a process, so for moving out and moving in the process, so that is called as a swap area. So that we are calling it as a, so where the main memory can have a direct access. Okay, so because we don't want the other process to be involved, so we keep a separate area, okay, a pool of area for swap in and swap out, so that swapping space, some pool of that area is reserved, okay, for making the swapping in and swapping out. So the terminology we are calling it as a rollout and rolling. Okay, now here we know that the memory management unit will be keeping track, okay, of the allocated memory to the process, what is free memory available. Okay, so where exactly the memory is free, what is the technology involved in mapping the thing. Okay, so what memory management technique is used, all that. Okay, so whenever a process is swapped out, okay, so that updation has to be made into main memory, that process no more there in the main memory. Okay, and whenever new process comes in, so that updation also we have to be done with the operating system tables. Okay, so for all this the memory management unit will take less time, but the major time in the swapping is the time taken to transfer. Okay, it is a transfer time which is involved, so where the total transfer time is a major time in swapping. Okay, so it is directly proportional to the amount of memory swapped out. Okay, so now like that you may have a little bit variation in the swapping technique, okay, in each of the operating system. Okay, in Unix, Linux and Windows, so exactly it may not be same, so there may be different little bit variations in the thing, but the concept, the major concept remains same. Okay, so always a system maintains, okay, in the main memory a ready queue, so where it is having the process which are ready for execution. Okay, suppose a new process come, there is no space. Okay, so that means that particular you know that ready queue is implemented by using the PCBs of each process, okay, which will form which will attach like a linked list. Okay, so whenever there is no process for space, okay, for a process in the main memory, so you cannot add that as a node in the ready queue. Okay, for that you have to remove a particular process, remove a node from a linked list, and that process also removed from the main memory and put on to your backing store. Okay, so now here let's see what is the contiguous the schematic view of your swapping. Okay, here as I said, main memory is divided into two portion. So one portion, okay, so we are calling that as a, okay, one portion is reserved for the operating system, and the rest of the space is a user space. Okay, and another thing is we are having a backing store. Okay, so hard disk, so where we are, suppose, okay, you see that the process P2 we wanted to get in, along with that there may be several other process here, so there was no space for the process P2 to be brought into the main memory. So what we have decided is to swap out the process P1. So this is called a swap out, and this is called as a swap in. Okay, so the major time depends, is directly proportional on the size of the process whatever you are swapping in. So this backing store is nothing but your hard disk. Okay, then contiguous location. Okay, so main memory is usually divided into two partitions, as we said. Okay, so in the resident operating system and user area. Okay, so before going to know about what is your contiguous allocation, so let's learn about what are the different types of registers we are going to have. So one is a relocation register. So used to relocation register helps, okay, us to load the program, okay, at any time wherever it is required by the operating system. Okay, so suppose that in the previous example process P1 was swapped out, so later on when it is swapped in, it might not come to the same location. okay, it may be loaded into different location, okay, because wherever the memory is free, there the operating system may be loaded a process p1 whenever it is coming for the second time. Okay, so how is it possible that, okay, we can load anywhere in the main memory? Okay, so that is with the help of your relocation register. Okay, so just you have to change the address in the relocation register. Okay, so whatever the value of the relocation register is there, so the process will be loaded at that particular address. Okay, suppose if I'm having the value in the relocation register 14,000, so your process first instruction will be relocation register will be giving the address of the first instruction of process. So there your process first instruction have to load it, and continuously one after the other the process will be address will be binded for all the instructions of a process. So that is called as a contiguous allocation. So one by one, okay, 14,000, 14,002, if it is a 16 byte memory, okay, continuously one after the other your lines will be sitting in the main memory. So that is actually the contiguous allocation. So contiguous allocation means, so at a stretch, if your process, the complete process will be residing in one particular location. Okay, so there are some of our techniques where we may be splitting a process into, we are breaking into pieces, and different pieces may be residing in different location. Okay, so now here contiguous allocation means it will be there in the continuously allocated in the main memory. So that we are calling it as a contiguous allocation. Okay, so now earlier we have seen previous video base register and limit register. So base register and limit register will help the process protect the process from accessing the instructions of the other process. Okay, so base register contains the value of a smallest physical address. So that means it is having the address of the first instruction of your process. So limit register is going to define the size, logical size of your particular process. So each logical address, okay, must be less than the limit register. Okay, so your logical address, if you're having 10 instructions, so your address will start from 0 to 9. Okay, so limit, it should logical address should not cross the limit. Okay, so memory management unit maps your logical address, okay, dynamically at the runtime to the main memory wherever it is residing. Okay, so here hardware support for relocation and limit register. Okay, so here we are going to have a CPU. Okay, so CPU means like our process, okay, is actually generating your logical address. So even users is viewing that logical address in terms of, okay, that we assume that our first instruction starting at 0, 1, 2 and so on. Okay, so this logical address, first it is checked, okay, the address whatever you are generating is less than the limit register. Okay, so limit register is defining the total length. Okay, if I am having 10 instruction, the length of this will be 10. Okay, logical address whatever you are generating should be, it should not be 11. Okay, it should be less than or equal to the size of your limit register. If I am considering 0 0 to 9, okay, then we are taking it as a less than. Okay, if you are taking 1 to 10, it should be less than or equal to. Okay, so assume here we are taking from 0, so it will be our logical address. Okay, if I am having 10 instruction, okay, my value should not be 10 or 11 logical address, so it should be varying between 0 to 9. So limit is defining the size or the number of instructions in your process. Okay, so if limit is true, okay, so that means if I am my process size is, suppose, okay, if I am taking it to be 0 like this, okay, and then we are having 1, okay, so 2 and then so on. Okay, so till 9 if I am having a 10 instructions 0 to 9. Okay, so if I am now this size will be 10. Okay, so logical address should be less than the limit register. So here I am defining, because I am having a 10 instruction, so I am defining this as 10. Okay, now if I am giving 10, okay, so the logical address is 10, okay, or 11, so that means I am trying to access the instruction of the other process. Okay, so you can check the figure in the previous video what we have given for base and limit register. Okay, if the logical address, if it is whatever you are specifying, okay, if it is greater, that means you're trying to access the instruction of the other process. Okay, so if this is true, okay, the logical address should be between 0 to 9. If this is true, then it will be added to your relocation register. So I said, like, it will be the value of your base register or relocation register will be almost same, so that logical address will be added to this, so that you get the exact instructions in the main memory. Okay, so that's what we are going to do it. Okay, so this is how your instructions are access, okay, in the main memory. Okay, so always the logical address will be checked, okay, first whenever the before getting access to any instructions here in the main memory. So first we'll check logical address is less than or equal less than limit register. If it is S, then only you're adding that with relocation register, and then you're going with the main memory. Otherwise it will be a track to the operating system. So that means it is giving the error to the operating system. Okay, so now, okay, here multiple partition allocation. So whole is a concept where, so block of available memory, what we are calling as a whole. Okay, in operating system terminology, free memory we call it as a whole. Okay, so there may be holes of various sizes, so scattered throughout the memory. Okay, so that means what happens, just look around here. Okay, so we have a figure. Okay, so when a process arrives, it is allocated a memory from a hole which is large enough, okay, for to accommodate. Okay, so operating system maintains the information about it, allocated partition, free partition. So which is allocated, which is a free partition. Okay, so think that, okay, this is your main memory, your operating system is there, so your process P5 is there, process 8 is there, process 2 is there. Okay, now in this figure you can see that process 8 has finished its execution. So this is a large hole which is created now. Okay, so which is created now. Now when a new process 9 has come, okay, now the process 9 size is lesser than the process 8, so this is fitting over here. So another hole is created of the this particular size. Okay, now when we are coming, one more process is come, process 10 is come. Okay, so which can fit into this. Now one more hole is created. Okay, so hole is referred to as a free memory available. Okay, so this holes of various sizes can be scattered throughout the main memory. Okay, so now contiguous allocation. So one is speaking, suppose in this case, okay, you are suppose you think that, okay, process 9 has just finished the execution. Okay, now when process 9 has finished the execution, okay, now this has finished its execution, so you have a hole created here. Okay, now there is a free memory here. Okay, there is a free memory here. Okay, when a new process, okay, you have take example P11 has come. Okay, now the process size is large. Okay, you can see that there is a 2k of memory available. Okay, so 2k of memory available here, as well as you have 2k of memory available here. Okay, so total free memory is 4k. Okay, so process P11 needs, okay, 3k of memory for allocation. Okay, so it needs 3k of memory for allocation, but still your operating system will show a message that you cannot fit this particular process. Okay, even though there is a 2k of memory is free here because process 9 has finished and there is a hole here, the holes are there but it is scattered. Okay, you cannot allocate, though there is total free space is 4k. Okay, you have 2k of hole here, 2k of hole here, total size is 4k. P11 needs only 3k, but the holes are scattered, because of this you cannot allocate. Okay, so this kind of allocation needs contiguous allocation, means continuously it requires the continuous space for allocation. So this is called as a contiguous allocation. Okay, okay, so now let me see here. Now dynamic storage allocation partition. Okay, so now here, now how to, we have a different strategies. Okay, so now you know that there may be holes scattered. Okay, you want to allocate the free hole to that particular process. Okay, so now for this, okay, how to satisfy a request of size n from a list of free holes. Okay, there are three methods. Okay, first fit, best fit and worst fit. Okay, so first fit says that allocate the first hole that is big enough. Okay, so you start searching from the first, so wherever you find a particular big hole, you allocate that. Okay, so allocate the smallest hole that is big enough, must search. Okay, here allocate the smallest hole that is big enough. Okay, but you have to search the entire list. Okay, unless ordered by size. Okay, so here the problem is, okay, So the memory will be efficiently utilized, okay, but you have to make the searching of the entire thing, okay. But here it is producing the smallest leftover. So worst fit is allocate the largest hole that must also search the entire search list, okay. So but this is produces the largest leftover hole. So first fit and best fit are the better than worst fit in terms of speed and storage allocation, okay. So if you want to check here, okay, so like just to locate the first fit, I'll just show you, like, okay. Now suppose you may be having okay, you think that this process has finished, okay. So this has left, okay, 4k, okay, this has left 4k, okay, and this process has finished, okay. So this has left, okay, 3k, okay, and here, okay, this process has finished, okay. So this has left the 6k free, okay. In the, suppose a new process P11 has come, okay, P11 has come, okay. Now first fit, okay, which needs 3k of memory, okay, or it may need 2k of memory, okay. So 2k of memory, okay. Now in the first fit, it starts searching from the first, so it has found the hole which can fit into it, okay. So first whichever hole it is trying to find fit in, it is allocating, so it is fitting it here, again it is creating a hole of 2k. So that is done in the that is that is done in the first fit, okay. So best fit, whatever it does, it searches the entire list. It finds that if it is allocating here, whole of 2k is created, okay. So now here if it is allocating, whole of 1k is created, okay, and here if it is allocating, whole of 4k is created, okay. Now the thing is, you should not you should create a whole of minimum size, so that managing the holes in the scattered memory is actually difficult, okay. So first fit is actually fitting it here. Best fit, what it is doing, it is searching the entire thing and minimum hole wherever is created or wherever it is satisfying, so that there it is fitting in, so it will actually fit it here, okay. Worst fit means it will leave out all and search for the largest hole, so here it may fit it, which is again creating a hole of a 4k, okay. So now this is the thing what we are seeing in the first fit and best fit, okay. So normally worst fit is in some cases it is used, but that is having a lot of drawbacks, okay. So now fragmentation, what we are going to see is, okay, so we have a fragmentation. So total memory space exists, okay, to satisfy a request, but it is not contiguous. So this is called as a fragmentation problem, okay. So fragmentation means, now external fragmentation means, like we had there, we had seen a whole of 4k is there, whole of 3k is there, whole of 6k is there, okay? Suppose when a process comes, okay, so with a requirement that, okay, it requires suppose take 13k, okay. Now 13k free space is being shown in the operating system, but you cannot allocate because that 13k is not a continuous space, it is actually scattered between 4k, 3k and 6k, okay. So like this it is getting scattered, okay. So now because this is called as a external fragmentation, okay. So where the total space, like I just shown you there, total space is available, okay, it is 13k is available, but because they are scattered in terms of holes, okay, and whenever you want to allocate a process which requires 13k but free memory is shown, you are not able to allocate, okay. So that is called as a external fragmentation, okay. Internal fragmentation means, so allocated memory may be slightly larger than the requested memory, okay. The size difference is memory internal to a partition but not being used, okay. So here what we do, suppose, okay, the process is requesting for 3.9k, okay. Now you have a whole of 4k, okay. Now when it is requesting for 3.9k, you have a whole of 4k. Instead of maintaining all the stuff, so you allocate a whole of 4k to that particular process. So that means whatever is requesting, slightly higher you are going to allocate. Okay, so this is called as a internal fragmentation. So this kind of problems we see in the technique called as a paging technique, which will be studying in the next videos. Okay, so now how could we solve the external fragmentation? Okay, external fragmentation saying that there is a free memory. Okay, free memory is available, but you cannot allocate that because you don't have a continuous space. Okay, so that can be reduced by a technique called as a compaction. Okay, so compaction means shuffle memory contents to place all free memory together in a one large block. Okay, so here like in here example you can see it here. Okay, now what we do, we there is one hole here like this thing, so you move this up. Okay, and you create, okay, like that. If you are having a few more holes like that, all the process you move up. Okay, so all the process you move up and create a larger hole. Okay, larger hole, so that is called as a compaction. Okay, so all the things you move it up and then you are creating a larger hole, so that is all called as a compaction technique, which you are we are moving up all the process into one continuous location, and you are creating the space, okay, into as a one large block of memory. That is called as a compaction. So compaction is possible. Okay, so this is possible only if relocation is dynamic. That means you are having dynamic linking and relocation, you can do it at the runtime. Okay, only then it is possible. Otherwise, if you are not able to do it, relocation you have done only at the compile time, then while executing holes are created, that time you cannot move one process from one location to the other location. Okay, so this is only possible if you are if there is an option of relocation okay, available in the operating system, and it is dynamic at runtime. You should be capable of moving your process from one location to the higher location, so that you get all the holes together into a large as a larger block or a larger space. Okay, so but here you have different problems are seen, like large job in memory. Okay, I mean like when you move it and all. Okay, so you maybe it may be involved in IO. Okay, so you may be involved with buffers and all, so other problems are created. Okay, but it is possible by external fragmentation can be removed with the help of a technique called as a compaction. Okay, so now next thing okay, so next thing we'll be studying as a paging technique in your